When I was growing up, we didn't talk a lot about our background. It wasn't something that was to be proud of, and it wasn't until I was actually in university that I started to have those conversations with my grandma and with my mom.
Okay.
And actually, when you apply for education, the education degree, they place you in a cohort, and they placed me in the Indigenous Perspectives cohort. And I was kind of mad because it wasn't something that I had embraced yet. And so I was like, oh, you're trying to put me in this pigeonhole. But it ended up being such a gift and such a blessing because I started to tap into my background and my heritage and started to see the beauty that really is enmeshed in a lot of that.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flourish Podcast. I'm so excited today to have a very special guest with me, Mikayla Bay. Hi, Michaela.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I am fabulous. So happy to be here.
That's so good. And so, today we're really privileged to have Michaela with us. Our studio and our offices are located in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. But Michaela is actually from sometimes sunny, but definitely warmer, Vancouver area. We can leave it at that, eh?
Yeah.
And so tell us, Michaela, how come you made the drive? And tell us you drove. Tell us the whole process. Just everyone get to know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Langley, BC, and it's about a 12-hour drive. And let's just say before this drive, I've only driven maybe an hour and a half max by myself. And so it definitely was a stretch out of my comfort zone. But I knew that I wanted to make the drive because this community is just absolutely amazing. And there's definitely another element of connection when you're in person. And then it just brings the level when I have to be online to just a deeper connection with you guys. And it's just so amazing to be able to share the energy and cast vision together. And I just have already been over the last few days so full. So
that's so good.
Yeah.
So so you drove and I think I remember you saying you broke it up over a couple of days.
Yes.
You stopped and did a couple of hikes. So tell us a bit about that. I mean, it's just active lifestyle, like those long drives. I mean, if you've ever driven like 7 hours in a day, same vehicle, you're by yourself, you got to add some variety there. Otherwise, you're just going to go crazy, right?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely was going crazy about an hour in, and I was like, oh boy, why am I doing this? But kept the why in mind and I made it here. But I stopped in Revelstoke. I'm an avid mountain person. I love mountains, love trails, love the outdoors. And so I thought Revelstoke would be a great place to stop. And it was amazing. I got to do some trail runs along the river and some hikes to see some lookouts. And I think the one day that I had the full day there, I clocked in at 30 kilometers of sightseeing. So
nice.
It was a good full day. I was pretty happy about it. Yeah. So
especially after sitting for so long.
Yes. Right? Yeah. My legs were ready to move.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you made it here. So, for those of you who may not kind of follow it, it is actually, like Michaela said, like a 12, 14-hour drive. And it's through some of the most beautiful country because, you're going through mountains and you're going through forests, but it's also can be a little treacherous. There can be some issues sometimes with traffic and all of that. So you made it, and you took a course while you were here too, eh?
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
So we took Elevate EST, and which is exceptional speaking training, and it was amazing. It was really amazing. Public speaking is something that I want to continue to hone, and so having 2 days just full of thinking, writing, speaking, and just having that the toolbox getting full, and also hearing so many amazing stories. I just left. The 2 days were so long, morning to night, and it was just so full of hearing amazing stories from a variety of backgrounds. And what was so cool from one of the many things that I took away from the weekend was that everyone has so many stories and everyone can share something that will relate to anybody. And so no matter who you are, no matter what your experiences are, you're going to have stories from your past and from your present and going into your future that once you own them, once you sit with them, and once you're able to share them, they're going to resonate with someone. Yeah. And I just love that the beauty of being able to share stories in a public speaking sort of manner that allows humanity to connect and relate. So,
yeah. Yeah, it was such a great weekend. And it's so cool also, I think, to see like a lot of different cultures represented, people even from their 20s all the way up into their 60s. And I think maybe not, but late 60s for sure, represented, and all of them just kind of listening and learning, but also speaking and sharing. It's so transformational. So I'm sure the audience would love to just get to know you a bit. So would you mind just telling us a bit about you, a bit about your story?
Yeah.
What you're up to?
Yeah.
How you came to be here.
How I came to be. Well, it all began. No. So just a little bit of my background is I am a self-identified nerd. And
it's a good thing, right?
It is.
Absolutely.
Proud. And so I love learning, and I love inspiring other people about learning whatever they're passionate about. And so so when I was younger, I decided to do my Bachelor of Honors English degree.
Nice.
So I did that, checked that off the list. And then I was like, well, now what do I do practically with that?
Right.
And so so I was led to do
because you don't even get better tips if you're like a server.
Well, I mean, I am a server. I work at a steakhouse, and I absolutely love it. And I don't know, maybe if my vocabulary,
a little better.
Yeah, a little
That's
bit
true.
more robust.
Right.
I think,
I
maybe
stand
some
corrected.
tips.
That's awesome.
So I serve at a steakhouse on the side, which I love because you're getting to interact with people every single shift, and it's so much fun. But on the educational side of things, I did my Bachelor of Education actually afterwards, and that led me down the path of teaching.
Okay.
And so I started, I had the privilege of first traveling with a family and being their hired one-on-one nanny/teacher.
Oh, cool.
So I have a passion for traveling and experiencing other places of the world and cultures. Nice. And so that lent to that, which was amazing. Cool. Yeah. And then when I came back, I started teaching in the public school system.
Okay.
And it was a shock.
Okay.
It really was a shock. So I'm going in this, young, early 20s, like just pumped about learning and reading and all of this stuff. And I walk into a classroom and I just get deadpan stares, And for about, but I was positive. I was like, you know what? I can bring the energy. I can bring the excitement. I can muster up this enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I tried for about 8 to 10 years.
Wow.
And I ended up just coming to a place of burnout and just exhaustion and sadness because, the energy and the passion and going in daily, wanting to bring that and foster that in other people, it wasn't catching on. Amidst that, I did my master's in curriculum development with Indigenous perspectives, which is my background. Yeah. So very passionate about bringing that into workplaces and into education.
Nice.
But I came to a point where I was really thinking, okay, I love learning, I love teaching, I love connecting with people and inspiring and encouraging, but this environment within the school system and within all of these parameters that just restrict you, doesn't allow me to teach and to really mentor in the way that I feel like I'm called to or I want to. And so I really did some deep thinking, did some reflection, and be like, okay, do I want to see myself in the public school system for X amount of years? No. And so I thought, okay, well, my passions, what can I use my passions and pivot to? And I did a lot of journaling, a lot of reflecting, and life coaching came into my mind. I was like, wow, oh, that would be so amazing.
Right.
It'd be so amazing to be able just to walk alongside of people in their journey and to encourage and inspire and guide and lead. And so I thought, okay, well, how do I get there? So I started looking up all of these certifications and all of these trainings, and had a ton of phone calls and whatnot. I like to be thorough with my research. And I landed upon certified flourishing coaching, and something struck inside of me. And I just felt like a connection.
Nice.
And after talking with Diane, then Cynthia, then you, I just knew that I had landed where I needed to be.
Nice.
And so therein, about a year and a half ago, I think, started my life coaching certification journey.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You packed a lot.
Yeah,
into
there
that,
you go.
And so you went to university in Vancouver, in the Vancouver area.
I did, yes.
And you mentioned that you did a master's in Indigenous perspectives or Indigenous learning perspectives.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that and maybe share a bit of your background that way, just because I think in Flourishing, we do a lot of work, as you know, for sure with Indigenous communities. But I think a lot of our listeners and even members of our community, they don't have any reference point around the difference. And, they've just never been to the communities. Maybe they don't have exposure to a lot of Indigenous ways of thinking. So maybe tell us a bit about yourself and your own background, but also that, because I think that's interesting. And then I want to, of course, circle back to the coaching stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Indigenous. My background is Soto Cree. My band is up in Chetwynd, very north. My grandmother was Cree and grew up on the reserve. And had experience with, just a lot of the things that are connected with residential schools and whatnot. When I was growing up, we didn't talk a lot about our background. It wasn't something that was to be proud of, and it wasn't until I was actually in university that I started to have those conversations with my grandma and with my mom.
Okay.
And actually, when you apply for education, the education degree, they place you in a cohort, and they placed me in the Indigenous cohort and Indigenous perspectives cohort. And I was kind of mad because it wasn't something that I had embraced yet. And so I was like, oh, you're trying to put me in this pigeonhole. But it ended up being such a gift and such a blessing, because I started to tap into my background and my heritage, and started to see the beauty that really is enmeshed in a lot of that. And so I ended up writing my 50-page thesis on Indigenous perspectives and principles of learning. And the main idea that I really dug into is because Indigenous culture within the educational system, as well as the workplaces, it's becoming something that is seen as important and valuable to integrate within perspectives and pedagogy in the way that you do things. But it overwhelms a lot of people because it's new. It's new for a lot of people. It's foreign. So even if employees or employers or teachers want to integrate the perspectives, they don't know where to start. And let's be honest, people are already overwhelmed with the content and all the tasks that they have to do anyways.
True.
Yeah. And so what I really dug into was if we can shift the perspective on merely content to more of perspectives and principles and approaches that are rooted in Indigenous ways of knowing and being, then there's a way of really working together with all people and seeing the value from our culture while also acknowledging the importance of other people as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that. And I like that as an approach, right? Rather than, okay, here's a set of doctrines you need to learn, or here's a bunch of textbooks. It's more, how do we weave an approach or a perspective into our day-to-day, which is really important. So then, you're into coaching now. Yeah. Which is cool, eh?
It's amazing.
How's the certification process been so far?
It has been amazing. Awesome. It's been professionally and personally both enhancing. And it's just been so cool because I align with so many of the beliefs and the values and the approaches. And yet doing the certification process is giving me tools to really anchor a lot of things that were kind of floating around in my mind already. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So going forward, when it comes to coaching, what is the type maybe what sort of client can you imagine yourself working with best?
Yeah. Well, currently I'm working with young women one-on-one, and I really have a heart for young women who are just really looking to ground themselves in and aligning their purpose, their passions, their values, and really seeing how all of those can create a personal approach and framework for themselves to really frame their life. And so that has been extremely rewarding. And yeah, just like walking alongside of setting goals that are within their framework that they've created. So that's been amazing. I also have a heart for Indigenous communities. And so doing mentorship and trainings within communities is definitely somewhere where I am headed.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And do you notice, what do you notice generationally right now? As we look at like the different generations, you talked about working with young women and they're facing different challenges, right?
Yeah.
Young women, young men, then middle age or older.
Yeah.
And so what do you feel is happening, and how do you feel coaching can help with that process? So some emerging young female leader, or I guess even a young man who's emerging and growing into their potential. What are some of the unique pressures they might be facing that somebody listening who might be a bit older might not even have a reference point for?
Yeah, from both my teaching experience and my coaching experience, what I've found is that people in the younger generation, and with coaching with women, a lot of people connect their purpose with what they do. And the problem with that is that once what we do, whether that's a job or whether that's, you're getting your degree or whatever it is, once that's taken away, because life changes and life shifts, right? As soon as that's taken away, then it's like this loss of identity and this loss of purpose.
Right.
And so I find that a lot of youth are lost.
Right.
But then because of that lack of anchor, there's a lack of drive and passion because they don't have a direction. And so just where a coach comes in is helping that person, because success is relative. And so it's helping that individual person really define what a successful life would look like for them. Right. And then within that, deciding, okay, well, within my definition of success, what does my purpose look like? What are my passions that can fuel that? And what are my values that will guide that?
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. So what do you feel you'll be able to bring to coaching that makes you a little bit unique? You've talked about it maybe in a broad way, with your education and experience and all of that. But what is the thing, if 5 years from now, Michaela could be known for anything in this space, what would that be?
I would hope that it would be that I care.
Okay.
And I truly do care for every single person in my life and within my circle. And so when I bring on coaching clients, I'm investing in them.
Okay.
And I see that as, okay, this is someone that I have responsibility over. And I want to see that person succeed in whatever areas they're wanting to. And so, yeah, I care. And
so I'd love to spend a bit of time on kind of, again, exploring a little bit around the Indigenous kinds of things. You said that you wanted to do work in community, mentoring and training. What are some of the challenges that you see these communities experiencing? And maybe, what are some of the training solutions that you or we can offer? What are your thoughts about all of that?
Yeah, great question. Number one would be definitely apathy that I've already talked about just within youth in general. Another thing, though, that I would say within Indigenous communities specifically is I heard a quote once that talked about how in order to succeed, a person just needs one person to believe in them.
Right.
Just one.
Yeah.
And I've had the privilege of having many people believe in me. And yet I step back and I realize a lot of people don't have even that one person. And so if you don't have that one person that can really believe in you and can inspire and cheer you on as you're even commencing your journey and jumping obstacles and things like that, you're so isolated and you're so alone. So within Indigenous communities, what my hope would be is to be able to, within these workshops, really come alongside of individuals and to be able to say, okay, like I see your potential. Let's see this together and let's set some goals to work towards reaching that potential and being able to walk alongside and believe in them and help them believe in themselves, really.
Absolutely. And what are some of the types of training that you could see being offered with these communities?
Yeah. I think a lot of like preparation for entering the workforce or even the educational force, you know, because going into university can be a shock.
Right.
And so, but really digging into, okay, what are not just the hard skills, like the tactile skills that you need, but what are the interpersonal skills that you need for surviving and thriving within school and within workplaces and just in community and the public in general, really.
It's tough, right?
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. So then what else do you want to share with us? What else is on your heart, your mind? What needs to be said?
What needs to be said? Oh man, you know, I just want to shout out to the certified flourishing coach community because, you know, they, Abe, and everyone within it has been so encouraging, and not just directly, but the way that you all live your lives. And it's with passion, it's with purpose, it's with drive, and it's with joy. And that when I witness that, it inspires me to continue, keep on keeping on. So yeah, thanks guys.
Hey, that's amazing. So how could somebody get in touch with you, either as a coach or maybe they're watching and they're a community leader or a corporate leader or whatever, and they're like, hey, I'd like to connect with her and maybe she can come and work with me or my team. Yeah. What's the best way?
I would love that. You can contact me. Instagram is a way. So my handle is at lifecoach_McBay. You can also email me at Michaela at certifiedflourishingcoach.com, and I would love to hear from you.
So that's great. And so just the Instagram again, it's at McBay, M-I-K.
Yes. So at lifecoach _McBay.
Okay. Lifecoach _Mick, M-I-K Bay, and Michaela at certifiedflourishingcoach.com. And certainly if you try those things and you get an email bounce back or something, just always reach out to me, and you can just put in the subject line, looking for Michaela, and we'll send it to her. Because of course, we always want to treat those things with confidentiality and respect. But you know, I'm so grateful because I feel like there's something that's really happening today with younger people. And I mean that. I think rather than saying, oh, the young generation is having all of these struggles, and they are, I think it's actually, maybe it's just the young people I'm blessed to hang around with, but there's so much growth and there's so much energy and there's so much potential. Yeah. I think that like anything, it's kind of like still trying to figure it out. Totally. But that's not a negative. That's actually in some ways a positive, to know that you still have things to learn and that you're open to some of that feedback. So I guess just in closing, what would you say to any young person out there who might be watching? And we'll just say young person is 100 and under.
100 and under. I love it.
We won't offend anybody. Maybe there's somebody who's 120 watching. So we'll say 120 and under.
Love it.
Just any pearls of wisdom for them as we conclude today.
Yeah. If you are breathing,
how's that? If you have a pulse,
if you have a pulse, then you are valuable and you have value to give this world. And I'm just so excited for you to tap into what your specific niche is and your specific journey is. And
just keep breathing for one thing.
Yeah, keep breathing and keep a vision. Have a vision. Without a vision, people perish. Yeah. Without a vision, people perish. And so, you know, if you don't have a specific vision of what your life wants to look like, then I would highly suggest making one. So,
That's great. Well, thanks so much, Michaela, for joining us here today. What a privilege. And thanks everybody for tuning in. You know, honestly, not to do some kind of big sales pitch, but you know, Flourishing is really a community like this, where it is helping somebody to unpack and uncover what they feel called to do and getting them the tools and the support that they need. So you can always check us out at certifiedflourishingcoach.com, but also please do connect with Michaela if it's on your heart to do so. And we hope that you will join us for our next episode. Thanks so much, everybody, today for tuning in. And thanks to you, Michaela, for joining us.
Thanks, Abe.
Okay.